Hello everybody, my name is David O'Byrne and I have been practicing breathwork every single day for the last 4 years. So I want to be sharing with you things that I've learned, why I believe breathwork is such an important practice. So what I'm going to be talking about is what is breathwork, going through some of the breathwork misconceptions, some warnings for if you're interested in starting breathwork, and then some tips on how to start safely doing breathwork. I will explain a few of the different types of breathwork that I have personally worked with, and I will give you advice on how to start your own breathwork practice. So stay tuned. So let me talk about what is breathwork. Now I'll be using two lenses to speak about this through, and the first will be the scientific Western view, and then the second will be a more holistic spiritual view. So breathwork in a scientific context is basically using the breath to elicit various nervous system responses in the body. Now when we talk about the nervous system, it is broken up into two parts. You have your somatic nervous system, which is me moving, my prefrontal cortex very much aware of what I'm doing, thinking, and the action following. Whereas the autonomic nervous system, the other part, is the part of your body that is automatic, that is supposedly outside of our control. So what breathwork does is to start to take control of the autonomic nervous system, because the breath is actually considered part of the autonomic nervous system. And it's very cool because yes, you will breathe automatically, but by taking control of that autonomic nervous system, science has shown that it can have some really amazing benefits. So now the autonomic nervous system is broken up into two further sections, your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. Now we all know the sympathetic as the fight or flight response, but the parasympathetic is the rest and digest. So this is the when you're not in a stressful or you're not in a life-threatening situation. This is the part of your body that regenerates itself, that allows you to rest, that allows you to digest your food. So at the core level, a tool breathwork gives us is the ability to move from the sympathetic, from the fight or flight, into your rest and digest. But as I'll speak about in some of the misconceptions, that this is not always what we're doing with breathwork, and sometimes what we're doing is actually working on that sympathetic nervous system and eliciting stress responses. And what this allows you to do is for your prefrontal cortex, your thinking mind, to form a stronger connection to your amygdala, which is very responsible for that stress, for that fight or flight response, and giving you a bit more awareness of that. Breathwork, or pranayama in yoga, is prana, which is breath, but it has a wider connotation, which also means life force, which also means energy, chi in the Chinese understanding, or vibes as the youth like to call it, but basically the energy that's moving through the body and out of the body. So pranayama is actually quite an advanced yogic practice which comes after asana. And asana is the posture, it's the yoga that we know. And so once you have harmonized the body through the practice of asana, you begin to work on your energetic body and to harmonize the energy moving within the body. Now, according to the yogic sciences, we have two main nadis, meridians or energy pathways in the body. And these both start at the base of the spine, at your root chakra, and go interlacing through all your other chakras up until the crown of your head. And these two energies are Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi. Now, Ida Nadi represents the feminine energy and Pingala represents the masculine. But don't get too caught up on masculine, feminine. These rather just represent duality, right and wrong, black and white, yin and yang. And so through balancing these two energies within the body, using pranayama techniques, it allows our central energy pathway, Sushumna, to activate, which allows the Kundalini energy, the energy of God, the energy of union past that duality, to see that there is no right and wrong, there is no masculine, feminine, there is no black and white, this and that. There is just one, and that is God, and that is love. Okay, so now I want to talk about a few of the breathwork misconceptions. Now, the one being that breathwork will solve all your problems. This is just not too true. Breathwork, just like any spiritual practice, is a tool. It is a means to an end, and that end is always physical. It's not a spiritual end. We are physical beings on a physical reality, and breathwork is a tool for you to take control of your physical reality. Another misconception is that breathwork will teach you how to breathe properly. This is not true, and breathwork techniques, especially through the Buteyko method, they actually view a lot of the breathwork techniques as quite harmful to your natural breathing process and call it over-breathing. Now, breathwork is only for stress release and to manage stress, to deal with stress. This is not true at all. Breath work can elicit stress within the body, and it can also elicit emotions in the body. There are so many things that we can do with the breath to work on different parts, different aspects of the body. Breath work is safe for everybody. This is just not true, and a lot of people do not resonate at all with the practice of breath work. If you're somebody who has low blood pressure, prone to fainting, prone to seizures, breath work might not be the practice for you. Breathwork is a new age trend. Now, this is obviously not true. Breathwork is an ancient practice that was practiced by yogis. It was practiced by Buddhists. It was practiced by indigenous cultures. Pranayama, qigong. It is an ancient practice. And then my final misconception is that breathwork will always make you feel good. This is not true. Breathwork it will make you feel. It will amplify whatever you are feeling. So if you're feeling good, breathwork will amplify that. If you are feeling heavy emotions, breathwork can actually give you the tools to work through those emotions. So some warnings I would give you if you are still interested in learning a breathwork practice. And I would say first learn how to breathe properly. Now, this is a step I skipped, but I would definitely recommend go and look at the Buteyko method. I'm going to make a video later on how to actually breathe properly, and that will assist you, because deep breathing counterintuitively is not always that good for you. So I will talk more about that in the future. Breathwork can also cause dizziness, lightheadedness, can cause a massive head rush. I fainted numerous times doing breathwork. I've always been fine, but this is just a warning. And if you don't like that feeling of standing up when you haven't had breakfast and that head rush you get, then you might not always enjoy the experience you get through breathwork. Something else that can happen, especially when working with the hyperventilation, is that you can go into what they call tetany, where you get these like crab claws and your muscles actually spasm out. Now, I've never had this happen to me, but I have heard that it does happen, but often it's related to a mineral deficiency, something like magnesium, calcium, or something like that. So it could actually be a tool to a deficiency within the body. So a warning, again, as I mentioned, fainting, seizures, this can happen. You've got to be very careful about where you do breath work. Never do breath work in water or standing up. You want to be firmly rooted, sitting down, or lying. Breathwork can also bring you back into trauma. So you might have trauma flashbacks. If you're someone who has experienced a lot of trauma, it might give you severe flashbacks. This is an amazing quality of breathwork and can allow you to revisit your trauma, to move through that fear and move through that trauma, but be aware of that. It can also lead to confusion and disorientation. I often have it where I'm busy doing breathwork and I completely forget where I am, who I am. I love that feeling, and it actually brings me back when I remember. I'm like, oh, wow, yes, I love my life. I love people in it, and that's a big tool for me. But be aware, it can be a little bit stressful. And I'll also have to mention that dependency. Now, we're in a very addictive culture, and so we will do anything that makes us feel good, and this can throw off our dopamine system within the body. So do be aware, doing breath work 5 times a day is not healthy. And once again, I will mention that breath work is a means to an end. It is not an end within itself. You are doing breath work so that you can be connected to the loved ones in your life, so that you can be a more active, healthy person. But it's to be firmly rooted in the physical reality. We can have experiences of the upper chakras or spiritual experiences moving out of the body, but ultimately you need to really practice grounding yourself and coming back into your physical life and your physical reality. Okay, so if I didn't scare you off with all those warnings, these are ways that you can minimize the risk to safely start a breathwork practice. So number one would be to seek guidance. Now, this is the part I'm going to plug my services. If you would like to book a breathwork session with me, please do leave a comment, send me a message, or get on my social media and send me a message there, because I can greatly assist you in the steep learning curve that there is to breathwork to give you the tools you need for the outcome that you are looking for. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. But if I do not resonate with you as a teacher, there are many other teachers out there. So find a teacher that resonates with you. And if you can't afford a teacher, don't let that stop you. There is so much information out there. And ultimately, you are the guide. So whatever feels right to you, whatever feels good to you, listen to that voice, work on that voice, and honor that voice. Now, I would say start very slowly. And there's a yogic principle, ahimsa, which is non-harm. But non-harm, first off, to you and to your body. So don't push yourself with breath work. It can be very dangerous if you are going to make it an egotistical thing of how long you can hold your breath or how intense of a feeling that you can have. Be very slowly. And if anything feels wrong, listen to that feeling and honor that feeling. I would also advise you to experiment with many different modalities. There is so much to breathwork, which I'll get into in a second, but try different modalities, because just because one feels good or right, just committing to doing it every single day might not be the best approach. So try it out. Always do it in a safe space. And this is very important. Make sure that you are not in water or you're not anywhere or you can be of any danger to yourself or those around you, and let people know if you are experimenting with intensive breath work that maybe you could faint or any of these things, so that you don't scare anyone. I like doing breath work in the park, and I think I give people frights quite a lot when they see me doing that. But then the last thing is to know the difference between nose and mouth breathing. Basically, when you're breathing through your nose, it's mostly to get into that parasympathetic, that rest and digest system. Breathing through the mouth, on the other hand, that mostly works on your sympathetic nervous system. So just be very careful and aware, and know that if you want to go into emotional work, if you want to go into the trauma, then we can work through the mouth. But if you don't feel safe to do that, to just breathe in and out through the nose. So now I want to talk to you about the different types of breathwork, some different breathwork modalities. These are not all of them, but just rather the ones that I have experimented with, that I have practiced, and then I have some experience in. So I'll talk about pranayama, which is the hatha yoga approach to breathwork, or at least that I've studied through hatha yoga. I'm a hatha yoga instructor, and what I find really great about this approach is that it's very structured, and it lists all the different pranayamas. It says what they are good for, who should practice them, who shouldn't practice them. It will also teach you how to breathe correctly using the full yogic breath, breathing into the stomach, chest, and the clavicle. So this is a great way to actually learn how to breathe properly. Another very popular breathwork exercise that I do a lot is called the physiological sigh, and now that is being made famous by Andrew Huberman. And it's basically the body's natural way of moving between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is through taking a nice deep inhale extra little sip at the top, and then slowly out the mouth. Extending that breath for as long as you can, and the studies have shown that 5 minutes of this a day has shown more effective than anything else that they've ever studied for reducing stress and anxiety. Let me talk a bit about the perfect breath. And so I've always wondered this, and basically the way to perfectly breathe is to take inhale for 5.5 seconds and exhale for 5.5 seconds, and it works out that you breathe 5.5 times per minute. And so the ancients knew about this. In Kundalini Yoga, the Sata Nama, inhale mantra, that takes 5 minutes, 5.5 seconds to recite, and then 5.5 seconds of inhale. The Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, the Tibetan mantra, also uses that same structure, and also the Ave Maria chant the Catholic Church uses. It is also 5.5 seconds. Very interesting. So another breathwork technique that's particularly potent that I'm really fond of is intermittent hypoxia. And so this is using breath holds. So often what it involves is hyperventilation, which causes an excess of oxygen within the cells of the body and within the blood, fully exhaling and then holding that exhale. And I find this to be incredibly powerful. What I mostly do is the Wim Hof breathing, which is 30 inhale, exhales, and then full inhale and exhale for as long as you can, and do 3 rounds of that. I find that's a nice practice that I can incorporate into my day every day. Some other breath work that I've tried is the Soma breathing. I've done the 21-day breath awakening, which is very powerful, and there sometimes you do the breath work for up to an hour and a half, and it's incredibly psychedelic. Anybody who's very interested in using breath work to go into higher states of consciousness, that is a great way to do that. I'll put the link down below. And then a new aspect of breath work that I'd never really experienced before, which is this conscious connected breath. And basically that is doing that hyperventilation through the mouth, specifically through the mouth, for a long period of time, and that can have unbelievable results. You can express emotions, you can go back into traumas, and I found this to be an incredibly powerful healing modality. Okay, now I want to just talk to you about my own personal experience with breathwork and why this has been a practice that has stayed with me and has been so resonant in my life. So about 4 years ago, in the end of 2019, I tore my ACL ligament, and that left me on crutches. I was on crutches for 6 months. I did not have the tools, wasn't living the lifestyle that allowed me to recover, and so I ended up on crutches, like I say, for 6 months. And I used to typically deal with stress or any of those emotions by just going for a run or exercising or skateboarding or anything like that, and that was completely taken away from me. And so towards the end of my recovery process, I actually found this breath work, and it was the Wim Hof breathing that I first started doing. And I was like, wow, this actually gives me that feeling like I've exercised, like I've done something, and almost like a little bit of a reset. And this is why I continue to do it, because it can just take you out of your mind for a second. Yesterday I was having a super stressful day, and just in that like breath work, in that breath hold, I just was like, oh, wow, it's all okay. I feel good within my body. I'm fine. I'm loved. I have everything I need. It just offers that perspective. Now, another epic benefit is that you're able to just calm yourself down. If ever you're feeling stressed or anxious, someone cuts you off, you literally have the tools to not make that a big issue. When I go to the dentist, just stay calm and just focus on my breath, and it doesn't even stress me out. And also just the control over the body, being able to calm myself down, being able to get a bit of energy if I need it, a little bit less energy. Really, it makes you like a superhuman, just taking control of these different aspects of yourself. And it allows me this feeling of really coming back to myself, of, oh, it's me, that's the external, that's everybody else's story, and coming back to me, tuning into me. Oh, what do I believe? What do I think? What is the life that I'm choosing to live outside of all those projections and stories? It also allows you to regulate the nervous system. So what I mean by this is that when we do that hyperventilation and we exhale, we move from a place of immense peace into, the stress starts to come in. Slowly. And then quite quickly, and it can get quite overwhelming. But so you stay in that for as long as you can. And I like to use some mantras or just remind myself I'm safe, I'm calm, my body can do this as that stress builds. Just exposing yourself to stress. It's almost like a stress vaccine, if you will, where you're exposing yourself to low doses of stress to build up your stress tolerance. And over time, you'll find yourself not becoming as reactive, being able to actually respond. And so another benefit that it's had in my life is that I have a very addictive personality. So I've really struggled with addictions, with ganja, with alcohol, and just tobacco, just taking things too far, just becoming very intense about them. And I realize it's actually because I love that altered state of consciousness. That is something that I enjoy, being able to step away from the normal Dave and feel into these different aspects of myself. And breathwork gives you a tool to do that. That's sustainable, that's not going to cause harm to anybody else around you. And it gives you that high. Honestly, it gives you that high that you don't need any other substance. You can just get high on your own supply with the breathwork. Breathwork has also helped me to express myself. Before I did this video, I just did a little bit of breathwork just to come back into myself, to allow me to speak like this, to express myself. I also use breathwork in the men's circles that I do. And I find that after a session of breathwork, men are a lot more open to talking about their feelings. It's as if it gives this ability to tap into the wisdom of the body, to bring that awareness into the body. Another benefit is emotional release. So with that conscious connected breathwork, which I've only recently started doing, I can cry, which is something I haven't been able to do for a very long time. There was a time when I felt like I was always crying, and then suddenly it was as if I lost that ability to cry. And through breathwork, through that conscious connected breathwork, I reconnected to that and allowed those emotions to come out. And what happens when we allow the emotions to actually flow, you can see a much clearer picture of what's going on around you than you did before. Often we can be so emotional and we don't actually realize that it's not the truth. People do like us and we're doing all right in life. There's also a lot of spirituality in the breath. I mean, just taking that conscious breath. I remember listening to something, it was an indigenous person talking about how they greet the plants through the breath, through the nose in the morning. And honestly, try it. Go wake up in the morning and walk around your garden and just taking nice deep breaths. Smelling the different plants, their different fragrances. It is an amazing feeling. The final thing that I would say about breathwork is just to have that awareness of energy. My own energy and also other people's energies. So this awareness allows you to just interact a little bit better with people. Maybe being able to sense, okay, this person's having a tough time. I'm not actually going to push them. You know, I feel like often people just want to, you notice somebody going through a rough day and then you almost want to rile them up more. But just kind of having that awareness to not allow those subconscious like power tactics to step in. And becoming aware of energy will also make you more attractive, physically attractive. You'll wear nicer clothes because you'll be more aware of your energy, of how people are perceiving you, taking you, the colors that work for you, the colors that don't work for you. There's really amazing benefits that will come from becoming aware of energy. So that is a little bit of insight into breath work and breathing. As I say, such a powerful tool that has vastly enriched my life in ways that a video feels like I could never truly express. But thank you for staying along for the ride, and if you liked it, please give me a like, give me a subscribe if you like the comments. Hopefully lots more coming, and thank you for being you, and thank you for being here with me. One love.